Are you thinking about upgrading your hiking tech? Well, maybe you don't have any hiking tech and you want some hiking tech and you're thinking, I need to get a hiking bit of tech, like a messenger device, so I can communicate with my loved ones when I'm away, or so I can contact the emergency services if I get into trouble. Well, today we are looking at these two devices. I've made the switch. Should you make the switch, keep watching and let's get straight into it. Hi everyone, Mauser here and welcome back to the channel. And on this channel, we look at everything from hiking, tech and travel. And today we are putting two satellite messages head to head. The good old trusty Garmin inReach Explorer Plus, which I've had since about 2017, and the Garmin inReach Mini 2, which I have just started using. So let's get straight into it today. So today we're going to look at a few features, mainly of the Garmin inReach Mini 2 and how it compares to the old inReach Explorer Plus. We're going to look at probably 7 main points. Number 1, the design and build. Number 2, the display. Number 3, battery life. Number 4, connectivity, messaging and integration with other devices. Number 5, navigation. Number 6, emergency features. And number 7, any gripes, any problems that I've got with this device. And we'll also, a bit of bonus content at the end, we'll do a quick run through of how I made the switch. Was it easy? Was it hard? And what I had to do in order to switch from this to this, and was that a hard process? Now, first up, a quick overview of these two pretty awesome devices. Now, the Garmin inReach Explorer Plus and the inReach Mini 2 serve as two-way satellite communication devices. They're both capable of sending messages to loved ones when you're out on the track, when you're out on a hike, and you can receive messages back from anyone who has a mobile device, a computer, whatever it is. In addition to that, you can contact emergency servers when needed by hitting the good old SOS button. Now, the inReach Mini 2, the successor to the inReach Mini 1, which I didn't know, was released in February 2022, and it received a substantial upgrade over its predecessor. There was a lot of new features, things such as extended battery life, became more user-friendly than the previous model, along with a few other bits and pieces. In regards to the inReach Explorer Plus, I've had that since it first came out back in 2017, and I've taken it on every single walk that I've been on since I had it. Every day walk, every extended walk, this thing has come with me. Now, over the years, I've had all sorts of communication devices. I had a spot tracker way back in the day when they first came out, maybe 13, 14, 15 years ago. I then had a sat phone for a little while, so I could both make calls and send messages, not messengers. That's a messenger. I was sending messages with a messenger. But by far the best bang for buck has been the inReach by a long shot, and it has been the most functional for me. The thing I initially loved about the inReach was that it was cost effective. The spot tracker had quite a big annual fee back when I had it. The satellite phone, you would have to prepay credit, which would then expire, and it was quite expensive. But with the inReach, you can fluctuate with your plan. You can change the plan whenever you like, once a month. There is a smaller annual fee, which is fine. And you can suspend the service when you're not using it. You still pay the annual fee, but you can just put it on a $0 a month suspension plan thingy. And then when you're not using it for a few months, it's not costing you anything. So it is a great option, very cost effective. So I love this inReach so much. You're saying, why are you making the switch, Mauser? Why did you get the Mini 2? Why are you doing that now when you've got the lovely inReach Explorer Plus? Well, to sum it up, the main reasons that I have switched from this to this has faster satellite acquisition properties. It's got a much longer battery life. It syncs with the same app as my watch. And finally, well, I think the answer is obvious. It is smaller and as a result, lighter. And that was a bit of a concern for me. I thought, how could a smaller device be better than this? This is a big chunker. This is going to work better because it's big, but I was wrong. So let's get into the nitty gritty, the main differences between these two devices. First up, the design and build. Now, one good thing about the Explorer Plus, obviously it's a bit bigger. It's easier to hold the hand. It's almost like holding a cell phone, a mobile phone. It just sort of sits there. Nice rubberized grips all the way around. Very easy to hold. And if you're needing to use the device to communicate with messengers, it's got the buttons and the doesn't have the side buttons. It's got the side SOS, but all the buttons are there for you to manipulate with your thumbs like you would on an old school mobile phone. As a result, it's also got a bigger screen. The Mini 2, on the other hand, it's compact, it's small, it's lightweight. And that was actually when I first received this, I was blown away at how small and lightweight it was. I could not get over it. And this is in fact 114 grams compared to the 251 gram weight of this thing. So more than half the weight. That's a great weight saving right there, I think. I think probably the biggest trouble I may have with this is misplacing it because it is so small and tiny. It does have also the carabiner on the back like the old one. The carabiner on the old one would slide off. This one is attached with a hex bolt, I guess that's what they're called, isn't it? The hex bolt thing. So that's not really going anywhere. I did read one review where it said that the carabiner could easily slip off, and I'd have to agree with that because of the way it is hooked on here. If it came dislodged the carabiner, it would slip out very easily, but tends to not worry me. I have said before, I keep this secured inside my pack. I don't attach it to shoulder straps or anything like this. When I'm out in the scrub, when I'm out in the bush, I don't want this here and potentially coming off. It stays in my pack. I am still able to communicate via my phone with this device, even when it's tucked in my pack in a little satchel in the top of my pack. So I never attach mine to the outside. I know a lot of people do. I'm not a fan of that sort of method. One thing that could work is if you could somehow attach this to a little pocket on your shoulder where it's tethered firmly to the pocket, but it works fine from in my pack. Haven't had any troubles with that. As I did with this in the past, that always would be in my pack and I would still be able to send messages and the like. Next up, the display. Now, quite obviously, the displays on these are slightly different sizes. A little mini display on the Mini 2, the Explorer, bigger display. Now, some people purely just rely on using all the functionality of the devices on the device. They don't pair it with a phone. I've always used mine in conjunction with my phone. I just find it easier to have this in my pack and then I have this out in my pocket at easy access. And generally when I am using the device to send messages, I'm doing it at camp. I'm not really doing it on the track. I'm doing it when I'm set up at camp from my phone when I'm in a comfortable position to do so. So I don't really need to be doing it on the track. I also, if I'm doing tracking with the device, I start it and stop it from the phone as well. That has never been an issue for me. Having said that, the functionality of this device and using the menus and the buttons on it is very easy, very straightforward. It's got the OK button on one side and the backwards button, so you hit them to enter and go back. And then it's got the ups and downs button before you go. Very straightforward to use, so you can go into the menus. Very fine to do. You can send a message there and you can put in a contact. You can go to Facebook, you can go to Map Share. It's all there. Very straightforward, but like I said, I prefer my phone. And I will leave a link below to a Garmin video by one of the product developers. He goes through a tutorial all about how to use the device, how to use the inReach Mini, and all the functionality of it. Great video to watch if you have one of these or if you're thinking of getting one. Next up, battery life. Now, despite its smaller size, this thing really packs a punch in terms of battery life, and it certainly hasn't let me down yet. Now, they say that the inReach Mini 2 has about 3 times more battery life than the Explorer Plus. Why is that, do you ask? Why does this tiny thing have better battery life than this? Well, there's a couple of reasons. I assume, A, that batteries are getting better. That tends to be happening. But the main reason is a new chipset. That's a technical term for the stuff that's inside that makes this whole thing function. The chips, things that make computers work, those things. But this chipset uses a whole lot less power than the one in the Explorer Plus. So it makes the device a lot more efficient with energy and power. As a result, you don't need to charge this as often, even when you're doing things which are pretty power intensive, like the 10-minute tracking. I tend to track every 10 minutes if I'm using this for tracking. You can set it out to 30 minutes, but that does chew through the battery. Now, while Garmin says that this can get sort of 5 days battery life when you've got full clear view of the sky that whole time, I probably wouldn't guarantee it, but even if it's half that, 2.5 to 3 days, that is pretty good, I think. With this old one, I would normally get a couple of days out of it before I'd have to give it a quick charge, and it didn't require much backup battery pack power when I'm out on the track to charge this thing. This is even better. It charges very quickly. To give you an idea, on a recent trip I did, I took this overnight, an overnight trip. I had it on for 24 hours. I was tracking for about 6 hours of that, at 10-minute intervals in quite heavy forest for most of the walking. And I had it switched on all night. I was sending text messages with it to my wife at home, and she was sending them back. We used 23% of the battery in that trip in 24 hours. and it was having some pretty intensive use. I thought that was fairly good. So in total on that trip, I sent 12 text messages and was walking for 6 hours. And remember that when you were in forest, when you've got increased tree cover, it's working harder to get a message to the satellites. So that chews through the battery more, and I was in forest pretty much the whole time. And another thing, which I'll talk about in a sec, is it has access to more satellites, so it doesn't have to search for as long when it's looking for a satellite to ping. So it doesn't use as much battery as a result of that. Another thing with the new Mini compared to the older Mini 1 and the Explorer Plus, whereas these things use the old USB Mini, I think that's called, these guys use the USB-C plug as opposed to the old USB Mini. As a result, it charges faster and better, and hopefully we're getting to a point where we just need one cord. Now that the iPhones have switched, you're not using an iPhone, fine, no worries. But the iPhones have switched USB-C too. These are USB-C, a lot of head torches are USB-C now. So it's all a happy thing, isn't it? Moving on. As a result, hopefully we'll just need to carry one charging cord someday. Won't that be nice? Now, just quickly guys, if you are liking the video, please don't forget to hit that like button down below. It's down here somewhere. And also hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying the video. If you're not subbed up, if you're not subscribed, subscribe. We've got video every week. We're going to have a few more videos coming in coming weeks because we do one every week. And I might even throw a little bonus video or two in there as well. Got a couple of hike videos coming up. Haven't put one out for a while, but we've got some adventures coming up too. There'll be videos of them. Just hit the like, hit the subscribe, and it will be great to welcome you on board. Next up, navigation. Now, the old Explorer Plus comes with a built-in topographic maps you download for each region using Garmin Explore website to the device when it's attached to your computer. This Mini has advanced GPS and GLONASS support. GLONASS support. How about that, eh? That means it gets more accurate and faster tracking and location data than this one possibly did, although this was pretty good. Another thing, like I said earlier with the satellites, is that this has access to 4 satellite networks. This had access to 1. So for that reason, this thing will work a lot better. It'll locate you quicker. It'll send messages quicker. It'll do everything quicker and more accurately. Why don't they just use the same satellite networks? Or can't that one use the 4? Don't know. Maybe it's that chipset or the GLONASS, something to do with that, I reckon. And I've definitely noticed the messaging difference in these two devices. This thing could take up to 15 minutes sometimes to send a message. It'd be quite slow. You'd hear it shoot it off once it sent it, but that could be up to 15 minutes after you had sent the message from your phone or from the device. This thing is almost instantaneous when I used it. Had no trouble at all. Like I said, I was in forest and I was sending messages and it was almost instant. Certainly no longer than sort of a minute or minute and a half for a couple of the messages, but most of them sent almost straight away. The Mini 2, when comparing to the Mini 1, has an automatic trackback capability. So if you haven't used trackback before, that is where the device is tracking you as you walk. And if you need to get back to where you started because you actually aren't sure where you started or what direction you started from, you can hit the trackback feature and it will get you back there, help you navigate back there. And it turns on automatically when you start a walk with this thing. It's not something you have to activate. It's just in there. You can deactivate that functionality if you wanted to within the app or within the device, but that is just an automatic sort of feature that is pretty handy. It's not something I use a lot because I tend to use my watch to navigate. I generally don't use this as a navigation device. It is there for messaging capabilities. It is there for giving me an exact location if I need it, and as also as the backup SOS functionality. But I tend to use my watch via my phone for navigation through the app that this now actually connects to. But it is an extra backup. It's a handy thing to have, and I certainly like the comfort of knowing that it is there and I can use it if I need to. If my watch dies, if something happens to my watch, I can use this as well. And that is actually a pretty cool feature, trackback. It's not really adding any drain to the battery. It's just there. It's in the device. Pretty cool. Now, the next item, connectivity, messaging, and integration with other devices. That's a mouthful. So, like I said, the Explorer Plus, good messaging device. It does take a little while to send messages sometimes, and I would tend to send these via my phone with the app that integrates with the device. Now, with this device, you use what is called the Garmin EarthMate app, and you would also do your mapping functionality when you're looking at where you are on a map. When you're using a device, you would use EarthMate for that. With the new inReach Mini, you move over to the Garmin Explore app. It's a newer app. It's the one that they seem to be supporting now. So I would not be surprised if Garmin EarthMate dies a slow death and they don't support it anymore, which will result in you needing to upgrade your device anyway. I think it's probably heading that way. Earthmate has been a little clunky for a year or two, I would have to think. Just hasn't worked as well. In addition to that, when you are trying to sync this device, I have often had trouble syncing this device because it had to be plugged into my computer. I had to find a specific cable, like USB mini. I'd have to try different cables and eventually one would work to sync the device. Don't know if anyone else had that trouble, but I had that trouble quite a bit. So I would say that the Earthmate app is heading out. That's my guess. And I've got to say that is a pretty frustrating thing when you buy a product that requires an app and then the company no longer supports that app. You're sort of just waiting for it to die and then you're going to have to upgrade. Even though the device may still work, it can be a bit frustrating, but it's the world we live in, I guess. Now with the Mini, like I said, you use the Garmin Explore app, and in addition to that, when you're sending a message from your phone, you go to Messages on the Explore app. It takes you to another app called Messages, Garmin Messenger. Messages, something like that. Let me check. Garmin Messenger. It takes you to that app from the other app, and you send the messages in there. I don't know why you need two apps. Why couldn't they integrate that into the one app? Google that. I'll find out, I guess. You also get your weather updates from that app, from the Messengers app. It makes no sense. And you can change your plans and stuff within the app too, which is actually cool because with the old device, you had to go to the website to change your plan depending what you're on. And I can do that all now from the app, from my phone. It's a lot more functional, a lot easier. I start the tracking from the Messengers app. That confused me a bit when I was out on the track. That was a bit confusing because I thought I was looking for it in the Explore app. It's not in the Explore app. It was in the Messengers app. You can eventually find it after you play around with it a bit. The interface of the app is really good, really like that. The other good thing about the app is that it connects to my watch as well, so I can see both devices and I can have courses or routes that I've got on this as well, and it all syncs seamlessly through the app. I don't need to plug this into the computer for it to sync, which I really like. So you can basically leave this thing in your pack like I do, and you've got full functionality of the device from your phone. So a good reason to switch is if you want all your Garmin devices in the one app, then it's a good reason to switch to this, I guess. If that's your thing, you could switch and then this would be in the same app as your other devices like mine. And on that note, with phone functionality, I actually set this device up with my phone. I thought I would have to plug it into my computer. I actually left it sitting in the box for quite a few weeks because I didn't need it straight away. But when I did go to set it up, I thought it was going to be a long, lengthy process. I synced it to my phone, set it up from there, transferred the account from this device to this device, just using my phone. Very straightforward, very easy. And I was really impressed with that setup process. No need to even be near my computer when I set it up. And the other thing that I discovered just after I set it up was that I can use the inReach glance feature on my Fenix watch. It's an app that when you connect the inReach Mini to your watch via Bluetooth, you just set that up through your watch when the inReach is turned on. It automatically adds that app, the inReach app, to your watch, and you can go in then and send preset text messages from the watch. I can read the messages on my watch. It's really cool. I really like that feature. I can send a preset message, I can turn tracking on and off, and I can initiate an SOS. I can look at my messages. What a great little feature, and it works really well through the watch. So again, even if I don't have the phone, I've got my watch on, it's all in there. It's fantastic. That is really cool, and I only discovered that when I was getting ready to make this video, I think just after I bought this. Yeah, that is a cool feature. We'll be using that a lot out in the track. You need to sync this to your watch first, but that is almost a selling point for me to switch if I hadn't had this already and I knew that was a functionality. That would almost make me switch to this, I think. Croft, if you're watching, might be a good option. Next up, the emergency features. No huge differences. This has the SOS functionality. This has the SOS functionality. The only difference is this is going to send the message quicker and faster because you've got that bigger satellite network. So you're possibly going to get a quicker response than the other one. But it might be a matter of minutes, but that could mean the difference in certain situations. So that's just another advantage of this device. So I guess you'd say it has an increased level of safety due to that. There's plenty of videos online as well about what happens when you hit that SOS button. Generally, I know in a lot of places, you will get a message from the emergency services to the device saying what's going on, give us a message and you can send it back. They don't get a response, they send out the search party anyway. But there's plenty of videos you can find about that. If I have a good link to one, I will leave it down below. In terms of any drawbacks, any problems, any issues I've got with this, I can't think of really of many. The only thing I don't like, and I didn't like it with the old one either, was the carabiner setup. If I put this on my pack, I'm going to lose it. I know that. That's why it doesn't go on. For external pack, the would be a good thing to have a little pocket for it, which hard tethers to the device. I think that'd be cool, that you could somehow remove while you're out on the track if you had to. That's my only sort of probably thing I would do, but I'm not gonna die in the ditch over it. The other thing is when you connect this to a charger, it powers on automatically. I don't really like stuff that does that. I would prefer to just turn it on and off manually. That annoys me a bit when I've got stuff that when you plug it in, it turns on and starts activating. I would just prefer if it stayed off, like the old one did. If I plug that into a charger and it's not turned on, it stays off. But that is a minor gripe. Other than that, I really can't think of anything. These things are great. Like I said, I've had sat phones, I've had spot devices. This is by far the best thing. This was the best thing I had till this came along, and man, this is awesome. So small, like it's just crazy. Blows me away. It's pretty awesome. Don't know what to say. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to say. So would I switch? I mean, I made the switch, so obviously I would make the switch. Should you make the switch? Well, if you don't use it that often, I would stick with that. If you're not using, if you're a weekend warrior who goes out a couple of times a year, I would stick with that till that Earthmate app dies, till this isn't supported anymore. They're a good device. They still work well. There is no need to rush out and buy one. But if you like the latest and the greatest, and if you want to save some weight, if you're going on a massive big mission, you know, for a week or 2 or 3, probably would switch if it was me. If it was me, I would, and I did. But yeah, it's up to you guys. It's just I like this. I really do. I like it a lot more than that. I do. I love it. Anyway, yeah, I would probably make a switch. My friends have this old one, Walls of Croft. You know who you are. You've got one of these. I mean, it looks like those old Nokia phones from the 1990s and the early 2000s that we had, that we'd all walk around with, like going like this. You know, those ones that couldn't take photos, those phones. And then everyone got a little Nokia phone that could take photos, and it was sort of like that sort of upgrade, I feel. So, you know, people gradually progress. Don't rush out. Be sensible. If you don't need it, don't upgrade. But if you're using it all the time, it's probably a worthwhile upgrade for all that extra stuff. But there you go. That's my review of those two things. Love it. I've said it enough. So thanks for joining us on the video today. I know a few people have asked, when are you going to do another navigation video? That is coming soon. And on the back of this, it takes a bit of research to give a good review on navigation, Avenza app, the Gaia GPS app, that sort of thing. I'm doing my research. I've just signed up to a subscription to Gaia to compare that to Avenza maps. That video will be coming soon. I don't know how soon. Pretty soon, I guess. All right, so there you go. That's this week's video. inReach Mini 2, inReach Explorer Plus. Hope you liked it. Hope you got something out of it. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That would be great. And don't forget, we've got a newsletter. It is coming out monthly. Our first one's coming out next week, I think. Don't forget to click that link down below in the description to the newsletter. Sign up for that. Once a month, we're going to put a newsletter out there with, you know, some walking notes or a little blog about what I've been up to, stuff I found interesting, that sort of thing. Sign up for that. Do that. And until then, I've got to go get dinner ready, and I will see you on the next one. If I don't see you on the next one, I want to see you out in the trail. But until then, enjoy your week. Have a great time. Get some fresh air. Get out and go walking. Walk to work. Walk to school. Whatever you're doing, go for a walk. And I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.